It's your girl Tara, and it's been a while, but guess what time it is? Story time. Yep, I got another one. It's about to be Mother's Day, and unfortunately for me and many others, my mother is no longer here. So Mother's Day to me, since my mother passed in 2018, it's just been another day for me. Before my mother passed away, Mother's Day and Father's Day for me was all about getting my mom a gift, make sure I go visit her on Mother's Day. And I'm glad that I had my YouTube channel in 2018 before my mother passed away, because I actually went live on that Mother's Day. And unknowingly to me, that was my last Mother's Day with my mom. But being that it's so close to Mother's Day, I was thinking of myself as a mom. I was kind of reminiscent of myself being a teenage mom, how young and immature I was. I did not have a clue. But you've seen in my previous video where I've talked about being a teenage mom. Had my daughter at the age of 15 or 16. I don't know, I think I said 16, but me and my daughter calculated. She said, no, Mama, you was 15. So one of them, I was still too young. My daughter is my only child. She is the only child that I was blessed to have given birth to. But I would have been the mother of not one, not two, not three, not four. Wait a minute. Yeah, okay. But I would have been the mother of five children. So I thought I'd do a story time and talk to you all about it and tell you all why would I have been the mother of 5 children and what happened to those 5 children. What had happened was, no seriously y'all, this is what happened. My daughter that I gave birth to she was my first time ever getting pregnant, and I got pregnant with her my very first time having relations. So I gave birth to her, a healthy baby girl, had a natural birth. It was an easy birth. I didn't have a hard labor because I was actually attending a school for pregnant teens at the time. And I actually had a class that was like, I guess P for pregnant women or whatever. And they actually had us to do exercises during that class that would help us during childbirth. I did not know I was in labor. I thought I was cramping and I thought I had the boo-boo. The school bus had brought me home. It was on a Friday, I believe. And I remember I told them, I ain't gonna be here Monday because I'm having my baby. I was sick and tired of being pregnant. And I was 2 weeks past my due date. I actually made myself go into labor. We had a porch, a side porch on the side of our house. I went and jumped off of that porch 3 times. And my mama's neighbor that lived down the street, she could see our side porch from her yard. And their yard, they were raising like chickens. It was like a farm in their yard. They had chickens and roosters and all of that stuff. And I remember she saw me. And she screamed from down the street and she said, you better stop that. So when she told me to stop after that 3rd time, I went back in the house. Went to sleep that night. I woke up that morning. My mom had fixed me breakfast. I had ate a little bit of my breakfast. I started feeling like I was cramping. So I just lied in bed most of the day. Then I started feeling like I needed to have a bowel movement. So I kept going to the restroom, trying to have a bowel movement. I still didn't think I was in labor because I had heard all the horror stories like, girl, it hurts so bad, you're gonna be screaming. So I was hurting, but I thought labor pains, you know, they say real bad, so I supposed to be hurting much more than this. So to me, that was like cramps. And I thought I was constipated. And I was in the restroom on the toilet, y'all, just pushing, trying to make this turd come out. Ooh. And then my water broke. So when my water broke, I opened the door. My sister was sitting in the den and I said, I think it's time for me to go to the hospital. So thankfully my daughter came out, a healthy baby girl. When I got back to my mom's home, I was a wild bird out of a cage. I was hot as a firecracker. And the house I grew up in, where my mom lived, it was a low income neighborhood. That was around the time when crack cocaine had bursted on the scene. So many young black guys were making money selling drugs back then. And there was a dope house up the street from where my best friend at the time lived. Me and my best friend, we was always walking to the store, walking, through the neighborhood. So of course we would pass the house, and that was when Eazy-E and NWA had bursted on the scene. They had the song Dope Man. So, dope guys were kind of like glorified back then. And a lot of young girls wanted to be with dope men because they had money and they had cars. And one day I met one of the guys that was in that house selling drugs. I don't remember how, but I remember meeting him. I don't remember how we started talking or whatever, but we did. I hadn't been involved for a very long time, but I got pregnant by him. But I didn't know I was pregnant at that time. With my daughter, I was very sick. I had morning sickness, everything, throwing up. But this pregnancy, I had no symptoms. I wasn't sick or anything. I started to gain weight, and my best friend noticed it. Before I had my daughter, I was just skinny. After I had my daughter, that's when I got my hips and my butt. And so when I got pregnant that second time, my best friend, I was standing in front of her house, and she said, "Ooh, Tara, your hips getting wide." And I said, "They are?" I had on some jeans, so I looked down at my hips, and I was like, I'm gaining weight. Then I thought, I haven't had my period. And I wasn't really one to gain weight back then. Like today, I can look at food and gain weight. Back then, I could eat whatever I wanted and still stay the same size. So when she said that my hips were getting wide, I just thought, I haven't had my menstrual cycle. And the guy that I was involved with, he and my sister's boyfriend, they were actually also selling drugs in that same spot at the pool hall. So I don't know who told my sister, or if she just noticed, or my mom noticed that I was putting on weight, but I hadn't told anybody in my family. The dude my sister was dating, he was the one that had the big money. He was like the boss man. I was at my best friend's house. We were standing in her yard, and my sister pulled up, and she told me to come here. So I walked up to the car. She had the window down. She said, "Is you pregnant?" And I said, "Mm-mm." And she asked me again. She said, "You pregnant?" And I said, "No." And she said, "I'm gonna ask you one more time. You pregnant?" And I just said, "I don't know." And she said, "Well, you can't have no baby. You still married." And I just said, oh, okay. I remember my mom's phone was off at that time. But y'all know back then we had pay phones. They don't have pay phones no more. I think I looked in the yellow page and I found a place by my school that, did the procedure. And I remember going to the store, calling the place and making the appointment. Maybe a day or so later, I was at the store on the phone, and my sister's boyfriend walked up to me. He handed me the money to get the procedure done. And he said, "You do what you gotta do. You leave that Negro alone." He said, "That Negro don't care nothing about you." And maybe the next day, my sister took me to the place and dropped me off. And it was not far from my school. Because I remember I had an appointment. It wasn't even time for my appointment yet. So I went to my high school and hung out at my high school until it was time for me to be there for my appointment. Then I walked back there. They do a pregnancy test first to make sure that you're pregnant. Yeah, I was so scared. I just remember being really, really scared. And this is how I know that they lie about statistics. Teen pregnancy statistics. Like they say, young teen black girls have the highest rate of teenage pregnancy. That is a lie, y'all. That is a straight up lie. I saw for myself. The reason they say that is because most black teenage girls, when they get pregnant, they have their babies. What I saw with my own eyes at this clinic, it was a full clinic. Before you go back for the procedure, you're in this lounge area with anybody else that's there for the procedure. And just about all of us there were teenage girls. But you know how many black girls there were there? 2. And they were booked for the day. That lounge area was full. There was someone in every chair. They were booked. There were 2 black girls. I was one of them. And there was another young black girl. Okay, and as I said, my sister had just dropped me off. I was there alone to go through it by myself. She had told me to beep her when I was done. So once the procedure was over, I paged her on her beeper. She came and picked me up and took me back home. And after that day, I never did mess with that guy no more. So fast forward a few years later, I had my own apartment, and boy, I was living the life. Single life. I was living it up, y'all. I was living the single life. And I'll be honest, y'all, I was very, very active. Thankfully, I made it through that stage of my life. We was the black version of Sex in the City. So I was seeing a few guys. I was dating one of my nephew's friends. Before you say nephew's friend, I have a nephew that he and I are close to the same age. He's actually a year younger than me. But I had started dating one of his friends. And my nephew was hating me at the time because he did not like any women in his family dating any of his friends because he knew his friends. And I was also involved with a guy that worked at the hospital. And plus I had also hooked up with one of my guy friends from back in the day. So my apartment door was like a revolving door, y'all. My neighbors downstairs would be looking like, who coming tonight? I got pregnant. Again, no symptoms or anything. I had no clue I was pregnant. This one night I was laying in bed in my apartment, and these pains hit me like a pain I had never felt. It just hit like boom. I was just hurting. And the first thing came to my mind is, somebody done gave me a sexually transmitted disease. But I just dealt with the pain all that night. And I think I called into work the next day. I took my daughter to school. And after I took my daughter to school, I went to the hospital. They did a pregnancy test. They told me I was pregnant. And I was like, oh Lord, who the dad? I didn't know what I was going to do. They believed that I was having an ectopic pregnancy, a tubal pregnancy. So they did this thing where they stick this wand with a camera on it. Yep, you have an ectopic pregnancy. And they said they had to do surgery because my tube was about to rupture. And if you ever had one of those, you know that if your tube ruptures, it can kill you. And with an ectopic pregnancy, there's no way they can, save the baby. The pregnancy has to be terminated. So I don't remember how far along. I don't even know if they told me how far along I was. And at that time, I had just started going to church. I was attending church with my sister. And when I woke up in the surgery recovery room, my pastor was there. I think my sister was there. And then later on, they took me to another room. Yeah, I was still young and very immature. I had called 2 of the guys. I called my nephew's friend. OMG, if he see this video, he gonna say, all these years I thought she was pregnant by me. Well, I could have been, I don't know. But anyway, I called my nephew's friend and told him that I was pregnant. And I had done lost the baby. And I called the guy who was working at the hospital where I worked at. Told him that I was pregnant by him and I done lost the baby. I remember my nephew's friend coming to see me and sitting on the side of the bed with me. Then he left, and then the guy that was working at the hospital, he came in. I remember hearing him tell them, I'm the father, like telling him that he was the father of the baby that I had just, lost. And the other guy had done said the same thing. And they looked at me like, you little hoe. So I remember said I had just got in church at that time. So a few years later, I was deep out in church and married. I was married to a minister and trying to live holy. I thought everything was going to be peaches and cream and roses, and I have turned over a new leaf. I'm living my life right. And the Lord is going to bless my life. He's going to bless me with a husband. Now he's going to bless me with a baby. I didn't have trouble getting pregnant. I was very fertile. And at that time, I was really wanting a baby. I was really wanting to be a good wife and be a good mother. And so yeah, at that time I was trying to get pregnant. And I did. So I got pregnant by him not long after we got married. We had been walking around the mall and we had got some Chick-fil-A. So we were sitting down eating at the time. Then here come that pain again. Boom! So yep, I had stopped taking the birth control pills because I was trying to get pregnant. Not long after I had stopped taking the birth control pill, I got pregnant again by the minister. So this was pregnancy number 5 previous time. So this time they did not do surgery. This time they gave me a shot. And I remember the doctor telling me, we're going to give you this shot. And he said it's something that they give cancer patients to dissolve tissues. So they gave me this shot. But they kept me overnight after they gave me the shot. I don't guess for observation or whatever. There was a lady doctor that came in my room to me what was going on. And since she knew that I had, 2 previous ectopic pregnancies, she kind of sensed that I thought that I could have a baby. And that's what she said. She said, I think that you can have a baby. And she told me exactly what was going on inside my body. And she told me, she said, your fallopian tubes are full of scar tissue. She said that's why I kept having ectopic pregnancies, because I had so much scar tissue that it gets stuck in the fallopian tubes and starts to grow there. She said she would have been the doctor on duty when I came in the hospital, because she said they shouldn't have given me that shot. She said, because you think that you can have a baby. She said they should have went ahead and did the surgery and just tied off that other tube. Because the first ectopic pregnancy, my tube almost ruptured. So they had to tie that tube off. But I still had the other one that wasn't tied off. And that's the one I had got pregnant in that time. And so she told me that doctor she didn't tell me that the doctor shouldn't have given me the shot, but she just said if she would have been the doctor on duty when I came in, she would have tied the tube off so that I could stop trying to get pregnant. I am thankful that I was able to give birth to a child, or that I was able to experience giving birth to a child. As a woman bringing a child into the world, because I don't have to wonder, being a woman, what does it feel like to give birth to a child? So that I'm very thankful for, that I was blessed to give birth to my daughter. So that's my story time for this video. Thank y'all for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Smooches.